Good afternoon. It is Monday. It is Friday, September 21st, and we are here for the Cine-Men movie podcast. Mr. Ed, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well myself. Thank you. I appreciate that. How are you today?
Getting over some kind of sickness, but all is well.
Season changes happen.
We are going, it's episode 3. For those of you that are been following us, we thank you. Everything has been moving gradually. Everything is progressing. The followers are getting there. We've had a little change of plans as you can still subscribe to us on YouTube. Our YouTube channel can be found on the Learn More button on our Facebook website. By the time you hear this episode should be on YouTube. This should be our debut episode on YouTube. The past 2 episodes are on Podbean, which all you have to do is give us a like, subscribe, go to Podbean, go to our Facebook page at moviereelz405.
There should be a few links over there to go ahead and get you to that. I think we did a pretty good part on that, honestly. But we definitely will be broadcasting on YouTube in upcoming episodes. This is due to a little technical glitch that we didn't foresee. But hopefully we found a way around that.
Right. Now, we got it. The Force was not strong with us.
Oh.
But we are young Padawans as we...
Failed we have.
But we have definitely got ourselves back up. First 2 episodes are on Podbean. This will be the debut episode on YouTube. Now, all the episodes will be on both devices. If you have the Podbean, you can catch us on Podbean or go to YouTube, and this episode will be on YouTube as well. Everything's found on our Facebook page. Facebook search moviereelz405. Give us a like, share us around, treat us like a bunch of old dirty broads. Just share us to whoever you want to. I don't care.
But yeah, definitely hit that like button on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel and all that. We would love for that to happen. Also, what other things we would love to happen on our channel is for everybody to just be interactive with us. I mean, so far y'all have done great. Y'all have been awesome at, commenting on, what you thought was great and all that. So far, so good. I love the interaction, whether it's a little bit of criticism. I mean, don't bust us too hard, at least. We're starting out, but criticism is gladly accepted. We are trying to get this better and bigger than, even we may think possible for that matter.
I thought we were only going to get a couple, 15, 20 people following us, but we're almost over 100.
We're nearing that century mark for us right now, and I mean, not even, truly a month in, not even, fully a month in. That's awesome. I mean, we can't, really say how much more we're actually so much appreciative of y'all's support for that matter. So gladly, thank you to all of our listeners, whether we know you personally, whether you just kind of stumbled upon us, or whether we don't know you and you're friends of our friends or family. Thank you. We appreciate it.
And we're just getting bigger because the first week of November, I am glad to announce that we will have, by the 1st of November, we will be on Podbean, we will be on YouTube, and we will also be on Spotify. For those of you that you have Spotify accounts. Spotify is $9.99 a month. I think you can also listen to it for free somehow. But we will be on Spotify, and we will also be on iTunes before the year is over. So before the year is over, we're going to be on Podbean, we're going to be on YouTube, our link is on Facebook, we're going to be on Spotify and iTunes.
So definitely some different platforms out there for you. And actually, one thing that I've been thinking of,
so there's no excuse not to miss us, brother. Oh yeah, dig it.
So, one little thing I was wanting to see about your reaction, let alone everybody else out there, all the listeners and subscribers' actions. What about doing Facebook Live videos every now and then?
We can
just, little here and there.
Facebook Live videos, which by the time you listen to this, we might have some up.
Maybe.
I think Facebook Live would be great
Just little snippets, nothing, more than 5 minutes, if that, but little snippets of, going to see a movie or something like that every now and then, and our reactions or what we might be thinking of coming up next,
Truthfully, I think our first live Facebook, at least for me, one of the first ones should be when we go see Halloween.
Oh man, that would be awesome. Just the reaction of that afterwards would be great.
Maybe we can do it before and after.
Yeah, definitely. What we think we can expect, what we might expect, and not really like a spoiler thing, because we don't want to spoil it. We definitely want you to see the movies.
No.
I mean, we're fans, so we're not going to kill it for you. But
we will do an episode.
Oh yeah,
we will do an episode on it, and even if it is the first, probably one of the first episodes of November, we'll try to cover the first, or not the first, but the new Halloween movie. So we will definitely get that in there, and we will have warning spoilers. So
yeah, definitely. So we don't want to ruin the movie for anybody out there. We just want to post our little, I guess you could say, ideas, thoughts, and reactions about different things like that. Get it out there.
This episode will be different from our two full-length episodes on Podbean. We will have 30-minute variables, if you will. First 30 minutes will be part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, so on, if we get in that long. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, find part 2. Listen to part 2, because it's there. Just look.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have it somewhere in our playlist, for that matter, for it. We'll start getting a lot better at this little platform, I guess you could say.
Right. And we're growing every day and every week, every month. Every episode is different. It's going to get better. I had nothing but positive reactions for the Psycho episode. The Shining episode, everybody loved it as well. There was still, it's not as good as the first one, but to me, I still enjoyed the second episode. So, as we grow, every episode is definitely going to be a little different.
Truthfully, with The Shining, though, I mean, both of them are definitely must-sees. But with The Shining, it's more of, it really wasn't the fact that there wasn't much to tell, but it was just the fact that you got to see the movie to know truly, because a lot of its actions and deliveries, and you can't, it's kind of like, oh, you had to be there to experience it. It's kind of that. So with that in mind, Psycho was a little easier just to be able to actually explain and go throughout that.
Yeah, The Shining is definitely a decent movie. As far as everything surrounding it, I enjoy the movie. But some of the things that I did notice whenever I revisited last week was I didn't like the female,
how Shelley Duvall her character was portrayed.
I didn't like her character at all.
I get that.
It seems like the more and more I watch it now, I dislike that character.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the actress. Nothing wrong with the actress. Just the way she or the director had her portray the character.
Yeah, I understand that, because I think some of it was said is that it was a bit of a misogynistic version, as in, males, the big buff, haha, I'm the provider kind of deal, to where it's not necessarily that, but it was still a good movie nonetheless. At all, you should definitely go check that thing out. Jack Nicholson's performance was amazing. Danny Lloyd's performance was very, very good for probably an 8-year-old kid at the time. So 100%, if you're a Jack Nicholson fan, go out there, see that movie. If you even just like horror for it and you haven't seen it yet, you need to check it out. It's a great movie.
Now, what we're covering today, we've taken you through the 60s with The Shining, we've taken you through the 60s with Psycho, we've taken you through the 80s with The Shining. Now we're still kind of stuck in the 80s, but today's movie
is a little different twist.
A little different.
Just this one isn't necessarily going to scare the hell out of you, but it's certainly going to leave you with a little feeling of creepiness.
Now, what we're covering here is 1988's Killer Clown from Outer Space. And, man, I grew up on this movie. This is one of those movies that hits home for me. Definitely a go-to movie. And I enjoy everything about Killer Clowns. So, Killer Clowns debuted in the theaters in June 3rd of 1988.
Not too long before we debuted in theaters, I guess you could say.
And it was produced, written by, directed by, screenplayed by the Chiodo brothers, Charlie, Edward, and Stephen Chiodo.
Which actually is kind of funny. They all are actual prop masters for several other films. Like, one is actually Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I think it was.
I love Pee-wee.
Yeah, I forget her name, but the trucker woman, when she turns around and says, says the line that she does, and then a big old weird creepy face just starts, wah! She actually is, that's one of their props. So I mean, they have, there's tons of other movies, but that's one that definitely comes to mind when you kind of mention Chiodo brothers,
and
of their resume, I guess you could say.
Right. It was actually directed by Steven, and the other ones wrote it. Also stars Grant Kramer as Mike, Suzanne Snyder as Debbie, John Allen Nelson as Dave, and then John Vernon as Curtis Mooney. So one of my favorite parts, or not knowing this, but one of my favorite, I guess you could say, things about this movie that I didn't really notice is on the top of the poster it says, "In space, no one can eat ice cream." And then on the top of the alien poster it says, "In space, nobody can hear you scream."
Which almost, what really kind of this movie gives me is that scary movie, parody movie kind of deal. You know what I mean? Taking a lot of different elements from other scary movies and bringing them into one kind of parody. It's actually a fantastic thing if you really, really get into the meat of it. Just because, that simple little thing. What's one thing that scares a lot of people? I know my wife personally is afraid of clowns. She hates clowns. Doesn't love it. I've had to kind of force her to watch it a couple times, and now she's okay with it, but she doesn't really like it either way.
So that's what we're covering today. Before we get into that, we have a little bit of movie news for you, coming straight out of Yahoo News, also from other sources. It's fun to mention that The Nun, we're filming this obviously, or we're recording this a few weeks in advance, but the week that we're recording this, The Nun came out and did a staggering $55.3 million at the box office.
That is not bad at all for an opening weekend.
Horror sells, I'm telling you.
Oh man, well, kind of leading up to that, they've pushed The Conjuring out there, and of course, The Nun is one of the more scary elements of The Conjuring, so there you go. Just shows you can actually take a little spin-off, if you will, of a main element and make it into its own golden brick.
Yeah. A little bit more coming from Yahoo is some of the movies that we've been talking about, looking forward to. For me, we obviously talked about Halloween. We talked about Venom is coming up. Another superhero movie that nobody's really talking about right now is Aquaman, which hits December 21st.
No, don't get me wrong. Okay, Aquaman. So, okay, of course, Justice League. But for Game of Thrones fans, you might want to go and see this because it actually stars Jason Momoa, which Khaleesi's husband, Khal Drogo. So, if you even liked a little bit of what he done in that series, which still coming up, final season, not too far from now, April. But you might want to go check it out. I'm going to.
And then Widows, starring Viola Davis, is November 16th. First Man with Ryan Gosling, about the first man on the moon, is October 12th. A Star is Born, which is starred and directed by Bradley Cooper, also starring Lady Gaga and Sam Elliott, will
be
be
a
out.
fresh take with Lady Gaga in a big movie like that.
And then something I'm looking forward to is Willem Dafoe is Vincent Van Gogh, which hits theaters November 16th.
William Dafoe is always kind of one of those...
Underrated.
A little bit, yeah. Actually, not even a little bit, quite a bit. Because literally you see him, I mean, he did great in the Spider-Man trilogy. He did great in, honestly, a lot of other movies.
He's in a movie that came out last year called The Florida Project, and I absolutely loved that movie. If anybody should go check it out. If you like Willem Dafoe, if you just like any kind of good stories, it's put out by A24. A24 has put out some amazing movies. We're talking movies like Ex Machina, Hereditary.
Ooh. Still haven't seen that one yet, but I know we're
covering that next month.
Yeah,
we are covering Hereditary within the next few weeks.
There you go. There you go.
I saw that for the first time a few days ago, and I'm absolutely blown away by it.
Ooh. Uh-oh. That might be maybe a little bit of bad news there for me.
So.
Yeah, definitely rest in peace to Burt Reynolds. Guy was a Hollywood legend in many ways. Many, many ways.
But as we get ready to approach our episode today, which is all things Killer Clowns from Outer Space, when we come back, we have our top 5. So you don't want to miss that. As soon as we get back from our break, top 5, and then we will get into all things Killer Clowns from Outer Space. As we're getting into the top 5, which is something everybody has enjoyed, we go over top 5 as far as everything. Maybe movies, top 5 characters. Last week, it was top 5 Jack Nicholson movies. Last week you had top 5 Stephen King novels.
Stephen King, yeah, definitely.
So this week, we couldn't, it was a little tough to decide with it being Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So, with the fair, we're right deep in the middle of the Oklahoma State Fair. We have clowns, we have carnivals going on. The weather is crisp. So let's not do our top 5 fair foods.
There you go.
I couldn't get into top 5. I mean, there's so many clowns we could think of.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, most of them span from William Gacy, or John Wayne Gacy.
And then the Kyoto Brothers don't have this is their only movie they've ever done. So we will do top 5 fair foods. If Edward, would you like to go ahead and go?
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so for me, not the number one, but one of them is a jug of root beer. I mean, okay, you go and where else do you really find randomly, other than the fair, a jug of root beer? Hey, a gyro. Now you can go and get this most places, but still, a fair gyro is almost the way to go.
Now this is top 5. We discuss our top 5s. We ask each other about it. A jug of root beer, believe it or not, never had a jug of root beer from the state fair. What's the difference?
Honestly,
is it from a keg?
No, it's actually, okay, you know the little, like, quart milk jugs? It looks like a little milk jug. And it's kind of iced over in a way. So, I mean, there's not really a heck of a difference, but it's kind of a cool little fair tradition treat that me and my wife do we've done for, probably 7 years now, 6-7 years usually.
Maybe,
just either that or the lemonade, too. That one's always been kind of one of my go-tos because I like sour foods and sour... Alright, so like I said, jug of root beer is probably 5. 4 is probably a gyro for me. 3, which I know how to make on my own, but Indian tacos, because you can't go wrong with a good Indian taco. 2, kind of a sweet tooth one. Chocolate-covered cheesecake. I'm sorry, my wife loves this stuff. I've loved this stuff, so... Yeah, plus... Not too hard to walk around with that. It's on a stick, easy to carry, not that messy either. And then my number one, just because I had it a few years ago and then loved the taste, alligator on a stick. This stuff is amazing. Promise you won't go wrong at all. Stuff practically tastes like seasoned chicken. Not even joking. I
had one of those a few years ago, and for the price, I wasn't impressed for the $20 that I spent.
Well, it is a little pricey, but...
But hey, if you're into if you like to eat gator,
why not?
I'll throw you a boomer soda to that.
There you go.
My top 5 is probably just your average run-of-the-mill fair foods, but I like cotton candy.
Oh yeah.
The churro funnel cake. Those things are pretty good.
Always awesome.
Those things are pretty good. Number 3 for me would be the corn on the cob.
Yeah. Either that or get some good elote in there. Oof.
What'd you call me? And then number 2 for me is the jumbo corn dog.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And then number 1 is the jumbo turkey leg.
Oh yeah, you're always with those.
I have to get a turkey leg. So, as far as that goes, it's good for me.
Honestly though, I do have to point out one thing that
yeah. And I agree with you as far as drinks out there go. The lemonade is good.
Yeah.
I'll have to try the root beer this year. I just stick with beer.
I mean, that's like, one thing that I've always compared to State Fair lemonade is Cane's lemonade. Raising Cane's lemonade. Like, I always heard that it's always compared to State Fair lemonade. So, there you go. You can try it and have it year-round if you like.
A little cheap plug in there. Maybe then hook a brother up with some chicken fingers.
Hey.
But as we said, the show we're getting into today is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. We're going to get into long form here in just a few minutes. But I didn't know that this film's budget in 1988 was $1.8 million as far as budget goes.
Which, I mean, that's, to us, sounds like a lot. But in true retrospect, not that much for a film. And I mean, you do have to look at these guys though. They are some prop masters, for that matter. So they probably spent less money because they know how to manipulate their items and things that they want to go the way they want it to.
Yeah, and as far as how much money it made, now it's not a lot of money, but I don't even think it was considered a lot of money then. But domestic, they made around $15 million domestic. And then overseas, you're looking at $28 million overseas. So this film was really popular overseas compared to being here released in the States.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you can kind of say we expect a little bit more here in stateside at least, but still, it's kind of this is one of those movies that may not be your favorite movie of all time, but either A, you've watched it, B, you've heard of it, or C, you've seen a poster, or you've seen it in the movie store, or you've seen some random weird guy walking around with the shirt on or hoodie or something like that, just displaying it for everybody to see. It's one of those guilty pleasures, I should say. And
worldwide, the movie made around $43 million, but something that's interesting is the Kyoto brothers, this is the only film they really did by themselves and directed, but as far as special effects go, wow, they did some pretty interesting stuff. They did Team America World Police. I don't know if anybody remembers that. They were the puppet supervisors over that movie. They were the stop motion animation supervisors for Elf. I love Elf.
Wow, okay.
They were the creature effects for King Cobra, Critters 4, Critters 3, Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yep.
Critters 2, the original Critters. So their work is definitely out there.
Oh yeah, if you don't know who they are, you know at least some of the things, because who hasn't seen Ernest? I mean, Ernest is kind of, out there in itself, just like this one, but still.
Or at least Killer Clowns, but something we want to keep plugging is, I don't know if anybody has downloaded it yet, but Vudu. This movie is on Vudu. I don't think it's a free movie, but the price should still be around $2 or $3 to rent, or around the $11 mark to buy.
Which means $2-3 to rent. That ain't bad. I remember Blockbuster used to be like $8.99 or something like that each movie.
So you can find this movie without leaving your couch. Amazon Prime Video, you can rent it for $2.99. You can buy it on Prime for $13.99 with the app, without the app, or they even have it on disc. Probably going to DVD, but at least the DVD is running for $3 on Amazon. Blu-ray is running for $6-7. So, and I have seen this video. I have seen Killer Clowns on VHS. I've seen it on DVD, and now I own the Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray is the best quality you can get out there as far as Killer Clowns go. And I completely enjoyed Killer Clowns to say, hey, when is that coming out on Blu-ray? I'm going to go pick it up, which it did come out on Blu-ray for you high-definition fanatics, September 11th, 2012. So it is out there on Blu-ray. I would suggest you go find it. It's still pretty cheap on Blu-ray, and it's pretty enjoyable. So remember, don't illegally download or don't steal this movie. Find it, stream it, buy it, rent it.
Boom.